In 1954, William Golding released Lord of the Flies. The iconic book details the story of a group of school children stuck on a deserted island with no parents or guardians to speak of. To deal with the lack of guidance, the children split into two groups, a group of civilized people, led by a boy named Ralph, and a group of hunters, led by a boy named Jack. Eventually, throughout the story, nearly all of the children turn to the hunters as they become savage, waging war with each other, with Ralph, the leader of the civilized group, eventually turning savage himself in a moment of weakness. The story is a fascinating look into the human psyche and what people devolve into when left with no restrictions other than what's in the environment around them. But at the end of the day, it's just that, a story. Do we really know that people would devolve into madness when presented with a similar scenario? Well, thanks to child protective laws, there was no way to know.
Unlock the door.
Mashallah. Fuck your mom, fuck your family.
I'm gonna fucking kill you! Until now. No matter how much freedom a game gives you, there's always more limitations than you might think. Round timers, hard boundaries, teams. These are all rules that are so common in games that we hardly even notice that they're there. But even sandbox games, the ones that are supposed to, let you do whatever you want, they still have their restrictions. You can only have certain team sizes, you have to register your plots of land, no griefing, etc. This is so common in most sandbox games that you kind of forget these rules are even there until they're gone. So what happens when you remove basically every restriction? Well, I've been playing two games that got me thinking about this. Minecraft and Rust. It's hard to think about Minecraft as a free-for-all type of game, as nowadays the majority of servers are structured very strictly around a certain playstyle. Parkour, minigames, creative. Even servers that are built around survival usually have safety nets to make sure that you can't just bomb somebody's gaff unprompted. That's where Anarchy servers come in. They may not be very popular with one or two exceptions, but they're the ones that are going to give you total freedom. The only rule is basically don't hack. Rust is another story. The main way people play is through no restrictions. Some servers might have the odd, don't be racist, but is that enforced? No. But what interests me is that these types of servers are going to be the closest environment to the one seen in the Lord of the Flies that most people will ever experience. Let me explain. Joining the server will always be the hardest part, because your own personal plane has just crashed and you are now at the mercy of wherever it's landed. For example, when I joined the Minecraft Anarchy server, I was greeted to this. Miles upon miles of cobblestone mountains created by lava casts. They stretched all the way from bedrock to the build limit. Not only did this show the harsh environment that we would be subjected to, it also warned us about those inhabiting the new world. They were not very friendly. Spawn was encased in obsidian, and if you escaped that, you had to lay low through dozens of withers, placed for no reason other than to fucking spite you. And Rust is a similar story. Unless it's wipe day, you will load onto a beach with sweet fuck all. This is your most vulnerable state. Not only is your environment out to get you, but also the other inhabitants. Everybody is vying for basic survival at any means necessary. It doesn't matter if you don't pose a threat. You might in the future, so, it's better to eliminate you now. This is where you're going to have your first interactions with other players, and they've already decided whether they're going to be civilized.
Okay, best of luck to you.
Or if they're going to be one of the hunters.
Fuck your mom, fuck your family, fuck your...
Yeah, some people really take the no rules thing to the extreme. It doesn't help that anonymity always makes people act worse than what they usually would. But in these types of games, bad behavior is generally rewarded. Yes, you could make friends with your neighbor so that, they don't kill you every time you go to Tesco, but do you know what's even better? Killing your neighbor before they can even become your neighbor, because now you won't have to worry about dying, and you get all of their personal belongings, including a gimp mask and a worm. But you finally set down somewhere safe. Semi-safe. Now it is time to build your base. Remember how I said the only rule is to not hack? Well, that might be the only server rule, but there's unwritten rules about bases, which is that they are strictly about practicality only. Any effort you put into making your base look aesthetically pleasing is more than likely going to be taken advantage of by people. If you have a base that looks like this, firstly, you're going to be targeted for not knowing the meta, and 2, odds are your base is going to be pissed to raid. You're better off putting everything into security. It doesn't matter that you're living like a fucking cave diver who's about to die a gruesome death. You are safe. And although in Minecraft the world is thousands of times bigger, so the odds of somebody finding your base is way more slim than in Rust, but if they do find it, there's basically nothing you can do to defend it. Gaining entry is as simple as pressing a button or breaking a block. That's why you're basically forced to build your base underground. The only way to safely defend your base is to put it out of sight. If not, well, hope you like hate symbols. Once you're set up, as I said before, it's more beneficial to be a hunter or more aggressive rather than be peaceful. But personally, I like being peaceful. So, unless it's necessary, I like to be as docile as possible. In Minecraft, you don't really gain anything for being peaceful. But in Rust, you've got 1 or 2 items that make your base a lot more interesting if you have some friendlies to share it with.
Hey, I've been playing with myself to you for a while now. Rumor has it, you have the biggest and hardest cock on the server. Why don't you let me into your base so you can pound my title?
Losing progress in these Anarchy servers really stings, because there's very little you can do about it. For example, I'm fairly decent at TF2, wow, remember that game. But if I only get an hour or 2 to play each week, that's fine because I'm still skillful at the game. I can top score in a lobby even if I only just play 1 or 2 games. But in Rust and Minecraft, it does not matter how well you can aim or how fortified your base is. If somebody spends more time on the server than you do or has more teammates, they can just take everything away. And people know this. In Rust, you have massive clans called Zergs, and because there's so many people in the clan, it's near impossible to catch them offline. Same goes for Minecraft Anarchy. People will make the biggest groups they can because there's strength in numbers. And even if you can take on 8 players as one man, you big dirty slut, if you ever need to eat or sleep or you see your nan in the hospital, that's when they're gonna get you.
Okay, I still have a bag. That's good.
You can only take so much of getting beat down before you stoop to their level. And unfortunately, I did. Just as Ralph joined the Hunters, so will I. I wasn't just terrorizing people for the sake of it though. I did do some vigilante work, okay? Let me introduce you to a player called Tucky. Tucky was a character, to say the least. He spent most of his time on the server at spawn, although he was far from a new player. He had fully upgraded gear and elytra, God's sword, the works. But all he would do is wait for new players to join and just kill them constantly. The defenseless fucking newbies that are trapped in an obsidian. Yeah, he's fucking gimp. If that weren't bad enough, he would try to make these new players beg for mercy in chat, doing really weird shit like making them call him master and stuff like that. He'd also just constantly, drop slurs in chat and just berate you if he didn't like you. But he was also incredibly stupid. He would fall for the stupidest traps and basically believe anything anybody told him ever. Me and my teammates started getting word from other people in the server that it wasn't just us. Basically every single player on the server fucking hated Tucky. So we decided to mess with him. He was looking for somebody to sell him some ender pearls, and without hesitation, Party piped up and said, yeah, we've got a shop, and just gave him coordinates tens of thousands of blocks away from spawn. To which he just instantly believed. When he finally got there and saw nothing, he went off on one, saying that when he finds our base that there'll be nothing left of it and, you know, this world will be fucking turned to dust and all this shite. Trying to get people to tell him where our base was, I know, fucking shiver me timbers. So we decided to use his rage against them. We created an elaborate fake shop, full of chests, but nothing in them. Underneath the door there was a stack of 10 TNT minecarts. The reason we use minecarts is that there's no fuse time, so they instantly explode. We were worried 10 wasn't going to be enough, but we'll just have to see. The TNT would be set off by a tripwire in front of the door. But if that failed, we did also have Party underneath the ground with a lever to manually set it off. I stood inside, looking inside a chest, basically acting as a piece of bait, and then Indy was to look on from afar to warn us of his arrival. The only thing we had to do is hope he was stupid enough to take the bait. And he did. He was on his way with shulkers full of netherite to, quote-unquote, trade with us. So we waited.
I'm just messing with, like, cobblestone in the chest. I'm making, like, intricate designs and patterns.
All you have to do is, like, fiddle your thumbs.
I'm the bait. I'm fucking terrified.
Thing is, all of us die. We lose now. Oh, he's landed. Now, Party, now! Oh my god.
Yes! Oh, I got that save. And we lived!
Run! He's coming back! Clip!
As you can see, 10 minecarts was enough. Tucky would return eventually, making, you know, his empty threats again that he couldn't fulfill because he didn't know where our fucking base was, until we slowly saw less and less of him. So after all this hardship you've been through, what is your reward for surviving or thriving this long? Well, in Minecraft, surviving is your reward. You get to show your parents your stuff, you get to keep your shit. In Rust, everything you have gets wiped each month. Every kill, every build, every raid, it all means nothing after the month ends. So, you know, the one who dominates the server, has all the gear, they are the Lord of the Flies. They are the Lord of something that has no value, because in a week or two, it's all going to get erased. You can't even show it to anybody. And I think that's why these games have players that come in waves. I think everybody's heard of the 2-week Minecraft phase, you know, when all your mates hop on a server and then drop it after 2 weeks.
No, I bags that floating island!
That's because you eventually remember that there's no end game, so to speak. If you're able to survive comfortably, that's it. And that's probably why so many Minecraft phases end in destruction. It's people trying to give themselves a purpose after they've done everything else. And I'd say Rust is the same case, just on a smaller scale because it's a less popular game. Yeah, I'm sure there's lads who play every wipe without fail, but there's also a good chunk of people like me who pick up the game every couple of months and then drop it again when either 1, you get raided and lose everything, or 2, get so comfortable that where's the challenge? The challenge is gone.
What are the tunes happening? You hearing this? Where is that coming from?
Now look, I'm not trying to say this makes the games bad. It doesn't. It's just the reason people stop playing them. The most fun you are going to have in these games is the come up. When you've got your base but you're not invincible just yet. That's the feeling people keep coming back for. And look, this type of gameplay loop isn't for everybody. Even I have to admit that I contemplated some things after dying for like the 50th time trying to get a fucking base down. The lows may be, you know, going all the way back to square one, but the highs are better than any other games.
I want it that way.